All right, it's getting a little warm. I flipped it over. I still have a little more epoxy work to do, but I was getting kind of anxious that if the weather turns out nice, I want to be able to shoot a clear coat. I was doing, as a guy building stuff talks about, doing a wet sand on the outside, 400 grit and so forth. Was doing that, working on it, but then realized it's really not taking out the fine little ripples. So I wanted to go a little bit more aggressive. I'm using a standard dry 220 oxide sandpaper. I've got a Scotch-Brite, or you can use sanding blocks, and that just gives a little bit more help in the contour, especially around the curves. I'm also using a eraser that I use on my belt sanders as well. But this is kind of where I'm at now, because I'm really trying to get out the very fine ripples from that drag effect. I want this as glass smooth as possible, so that's what I'm going to work on. I've got about half of it done, but I'm not happy with it, so I'm going to continue working on it. Then I'll go to the other side. I'm not going to bore you with sanding, because that's unfortunately a necessary evil. So we're going to get on this and then hopefully start clear coating in a day or so. So let's get back to work. All right, in through here, I think you can see that there's a bit of a leopard print from where it was sanded, from the streaking, as we were pulling that drag with the roller in a straight position. So I've gone through, I've blown it off. I've worked a little acetone wipe on here in order to clean it off. So we're gonna go ahead and start spraying. Basically, it's been sanded to 220 grit, which is what the top boat requests in terms of the prep stage. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure everything's wiped down one more time, and then we're gonna start spraying. All right, we got some crazy lighting effects going on right now, but you can see I've moved the kayak to the front. And in the time lapse, I sprayed the bottom side quite a bit. There were probably 4 spray applications. Really didn't like how it was going. Maybe my gun's just old, couldn't get it right. Always looked dusty. Satin was the best I could get. So I did a sanding on it, light sanding, probably around a 320, 220 grit. And then I did the old school brush application. I did modify the brushes a little bit so that the whole thing wouldn't get soaking wet with the UA finish from Total Boat. But was able to do this, modified it, and it worked out pretty decent. Because we've been in the 90s and around 10 to 15% humidity, things are drying faster than I can get applied. So I have been adding, if you will, the xylene in order to kind of thin that down a little bit. And even then, I can only work on about a foot and a half section before it'll start to dry and get tacky, and I can feel it with the brush. So I am now limited to early mornings, late evenings when the temperatures drop down to about low 80s, upper 70s in the barn. And again, with that dry humidity, that's all I can figure as to why it's drying so quickly on me. And I'm having to even add, if you will, the thinner to it. I have since then done 2 applications, just wet applications with brush on the inside. I'll probably do a third one because again, it does look a little patchy. I'm not happy with the finish, but you know, it's probably more me than it is really of the product. So we've ordered some more fiberglass. We're going to do a couple more, if you will, wood strip canoes. But this one, I'm hoping to get in the water maybe this weekend. It says it needs about a 48-hour cure time with the Total Coat UV finish on it. So we are going to work on that, try and get that done. So I've got a couple more applications. We'll probably do it later tonight. I'd have you watch, but with the lighting in the barn, it's pretty hard. It's kind of difficult to see what that finish looks like. So until tomorrow, we'll get back to this. I will show you also the paddle that is complete. And I have also finished the foot pegs. Those have been finished and ready to insert. We do have stainless steel rather than brass for the fasteners. So we will get those in. We'll take some pictures, and then hopefully by this weekend, this thing's in the water. If not, Monday first thing, we'll get it there. All right, good day. Got everything installed last night. So we have 3 coats brushed on inside with the UV protectant. Did do stainless steel hardware. I did go up a size in terms of the diameters of the wood screws that we went into. Also did a locking nut, nylon nut for the stainless steel here as well. And these are our flip out adjustable foot pegs. So the seat is not adjustable. I'm gonna work on something there in order to be able to do that. But the foot pegs are, depending on if you need to stretch out a little bit more or if you're really trying to crank and you want your feet in just a little bit closer. So it is in, if you will, the last curing phase. We did set it up on a scale, so that's why it's kind of tippy right now. And it tipped in at 30.5 to 31 pounds. So it's right, I'm just going to go ahead and call it 31 pounds. So lighter than what I thought. I was worried that it was going to be about 35 pounds with everything being put into it. So very excited that we're right at that 30-pound mark, the 31-pound mark. And once this is set and cured a little bit more, then obviously we're going to head to the reservoir and take it for a float and see how this handles in comparison to the skin on frame. And that one, the bottom rolled out just a little bit when we took it off the forms. The steam bending kind of sprung back, and then when we pulled it back with the thwarts, that kind of bowed it down. So that one's a little rocky, but when you're up to speed, it's like riding a bike. The faster you go, the smoother it is. Very excited to see how this one goes. So let's let it cure, and then the next time you see this, we will be outside on the water.